funny to see one of the woke kings himself, Ibram Kendi, being stabbed in the back like Caesar by the very cutthroat race baiters he helped to raise up. Kendi's think tank center at Boston University employed about 45 people as of last month in August. But now we're hearing that as many as 15 or even 20 employees have been laid off, which is nearly half the staff. Manhattan Institute senior fellow Christopher Rufo, who's done a lot of the heavy lifting on exposing Kendi, tweeted the other day, quote, "Ibram Kendi's anti-racism center is collapsing. He hired a bunch of left-wing academics that produced almost no research, but complained that he was exploitative and forced them to work too hard. Now he's laid off nearly half of the employees and they're trashing him publicly," end quote. There is no honor among thieves. Kendi should be the first to know as much given how he's built his empire. Joining us now to discuss is Ryan Helfenbein, the executive director of the Standing for Freedom Center. Ryan, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, Kara, it's great to be on with you.
Great. So funny but completely unsurprising, would you say, to see the woke eating the woke when it comes to the Ibram Kendi catastrophe?
Yeah, I mean, irony is somewhat of a delicious dish as long as you're not the subject of the brunt of the joke. The oppressed becomes the oppressor in this situation. But look, what it shows is that we're coming down the high peaks and the high elevations of wokeness in this country, something that we faced back in 2020. Transgender activism has taken the movement now for woke indoctrination and woke ideology. They're sucking all the oxygen of feigned outrage and hatred. It's garnering all the attention. And so it is interesting to see some of the leftists who are no longer cool. They've been left in the dust and there's no longer any funding for it. And truth be told, I think people have fatigue. Colleges and universities are less inclined to fund this. They have no long-term objectives or aims or policy objectives that are constructive or overall unifying. They're really designed only for division and deconstruction and to perpetuate a movement in perpetuity. The real goal is to siphon off as much funding as you can, public tax dollars, corporate dollars for these projects. But there is no actual real goal in mind. And I think that's what you're seeing here. And it is ironic.
You're right. And it's also funny because how many times have we belly ache on the right? Oh, if only the left actually had to lie in the bed that they make. If only they had to live in the world that they claim to want to live in, then they would see it's not so great. And so it's funny, as you're saying, with some of the irony here with Ibram Kendi and his think tank, because I'm sure you remember back in 2020 during the riots, especially when Kendi really made a name for himself, at least with the popular culture. What did we hear? Even some Smithsonian museums over in D.C., they were saying that working and being on time, anything like that was somehow white supremacy. So is it funny to see that some of these think tank employees are taking that to its logical end, saying, oh, you want us to actually work and to create research? Well, that's exploitative. You can't demand anything of me. I need my mental health breaks. I need to take a break every 15 minutes. I can't show up certain times of the month because I'm feeling down. So is it funny to see that in this microcosm that it doesn't work? These left-wing ideals, they honestly do not work.
Yeah, no, it's easy to be an activist. It's easy to complain. It's easy to lead a protest movement. It's easy to picket on the outside, set up a tent city, occupy this, occupy that, and disrupt everyday average Joes who are trying to work and make a living. When you're actually establishment, which that's what this is. If it's a center and it's been funded and it's at Boston University, it's become an established center. It is now establishment. And once you do that, you actually have to produce some kind of results. And at the end of the day, it's ironic because what it proves is that these guys, whoever they are, and any organization, they're not cut out for this kind of work, for actually producing results, for being constructive, for actually doing something that is going to help and benefit society and help to shape society. So yeah, given a long period of time, like the window on these things are relatively short because these things are new, but given a long enough window, you can see the beginning, the middle, and the end of these movements.
And staying on that for just a moment, when you were saying how the left, that they become the establishment, they used to think they were on the outside throwing rocks, and now they are the quote-unquote man that they for so long claimed to have been fighting against.